No, it's not a false flag. Guys, the ceasefire hasn't been finalized yet. Iran still has Iran still has like 4.5 hours to retaliate against Israel. And this is Iraq anyway. Israel's Channel 12 reports that Prime Minister Netanyahu instructed ministers at the end of a 4-hour cabinet meeting not to comment on the latest developments until further notice. They also, I think, have drafted a withdrawal. Iran, I think, drafted a withdrawal from leaving the International Atomic Agency energy. So that's a ginormous L for everybody, except for Iran.
U.S. interests as well in this, with those launched in Qatar hours ago. Out front now, Senator Chris Murphy of the Foreign Relations Committee. And Senator Murphy, so Trump says there's this complete and total ceasefire. We have, it seems to be, you know, muzzling out of Israel, right? They're not talking, which would indicate, as Jeremy says, perhaps something. Explosions in Tehran, but neither side speaking. Is this ceasefire real?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, what we know is that Donald Trump doesn't tell the truth a lot, so you can't rely on Donald Trump's statements. And frankly, you can't rely on what Iran says either. Remember, Iran may agree that it's not going to launch direct attacks against Israel or the United States, but Iran traditionally exercises power, lethal power, through its proxies. Its proxies inside Lebanon, its proxies inside Iraq. And so this is still going to be a very dangerous moment. Let's hope that this is a ceasefire that is real. Let's hope that this is an end, at least temporarily, to the hostilities. But let's also understand that Iran has agreed to a lot of things over the years because of the way in which it uses these terrorist groups, which are spread out all across the region, that are very close to U.S. forces. Anything official out of Tehran probably isn't worth, you know, much more than the paper that it's written on.
Well, I mean, of course, you're also in the context of, we understand the Ayatollah is in a bunker because Netanyahu said he could take him out at any time, and Trump has talked about regime change. So does that mean that that's all over? Regime change is off the table? I mean, I'm only saying this in the context of some things are impossible to put back in the bottle. Sometimes when people show you who they are, they've shown you who they are. And it seems that we have passed such.
Yeah, I think this assessment from Seamus is not entirely correct. The reason why I say this is because Iran does not have the smoke. They've shown that time and time again. They do not want further war. They do not want more campaigns in Tehran, no matter what. That's it. As I said from the start, that any off-ramp that America gives to Iran, Iran will take. And they did. Any off-ramp.
Range, this might get worse for the United States, not better. So, you know, we still don't even have all the facts to know how impactful this strike was, but it certainly is going to alter the calculus of the Iranian regime.
Right. And of course, the ceasefire is a pause to, I mean, we hear obviously leveled in the Ukraine all the time, would be a pause to rebuild. But to your point about this enrichment, the Vice President, J.D. Vance.
Iran has been 100% within their rights under international law. Oh, 100%. Yeah, Chris Murphy is out of his mind for stating this. It's just a complete distortion of the truth.
Highly enriched uranium is located, right? I mean, do they know they destroyed it? Do they even know where it is, right? Here's how he answered the question.
I think that's actually not the question before us. The question ran enrich the uranium to a weapons grade level. Our goal was to bury the uranium, and I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon.
So, Senator, he very clearly did not say that he knew where the uranium was, which would mean that obviously that would flow from there to not know how much there was or its state. You know, do you think that we know what we need to know here?
Okay, the old man is doing the rounds on the media again. He's calling the journalists again. President Trump spoke to me about the ceasefire deal in an exclusive interview. He said, "It's a great day for America. It's a great day for the Middle East. I'm very happy to have been able to get the job done. A lot of people were dying, and it was only going to get worse." When asked how long the ceasefire would be, President Trump said, "I think the ceasefire is unlimited. It's going to go forever." When asked if the war was completely over, he said, "Yes, I don't believe they will ever be shooting at each other again." President Trump also said that of the conflict with Iran, it would have brought the whole Middle East down. He added this about the ceasefire deal. "It's a wonderful day for the world, in my opinion." Okay, I need to make something clear here. Here was a really cool way that Trump could have avoided all of this. Telling Israel not to strike Iran. Because we have only, at best, set the time frame back. Yeah, frame drops, I know. We have only set the time frame back to 12 days ago, and there's been a lot in those 12 days that's bad for both Iran and Israel. So this is not a W. Why are people, who would look at this and go, that's cool, this is actually really dope? Unless somehow this also, through back channels, is telling Israel to just cut it out with Gaza or some shit, which I heavily doubt. There was no W here at all. Trump allowed this event to unfold. He created chaos. People were like, this is the worst type of chaos. What the fuck are you doing? And then 12 days later, he was like, all right, chaos over. Look, I saved it. It's like, but you started it. You let the chaos happen. You let the chaos happen for 12 days only to turn around and I guess like stop even more chaos from taking place. Like, how is this a W? This is the same principle behind the tariff stuff. Like, this is the same shit. Oh, I'm going to do maximum tariffs. Okay, I'm not going to do maximum tariffs. Oh, you're brilliant, sir. Thank you so much. How many more times does this have to happen? I see this. The only way what I feel like took place is Israel's air defenses are diminished, and we'll see if Iran actually retaliates in this last barrage of we'll see how much the Israeli air defenses are diminished. Okay, but if the only thing I can foresee happening here is that Israel's air defenses were so diminished, and America did not have appetite for further with Iran, and therefore I guess they had to cool off a little bit before they could re-up on their air defenses, and then Israel will most likely try it again. What does this mean? Israel told the U.S., first we strike. Only after a victory can the right agreement follow. That was the IDF's approach with Hezbollah and Lebanon, and now again with Iran. It appears to have worked for the second time. What? Is it all just fake news to distract people from the fact that ISIS is deporting people? No. That's secondary. That has nothing... The distraction stuff is so silly because, like, this is a severe escalation. Like, World 3 cannot be a distraction from ICE deportations. You know what I mean? And now there's several large explosions being reported in Taji, north of Baghdad. Radar equipment in the U.S. base in Taji camp were destroyed with drones. No, it's not a false flag. Guys, the ceasefire hasn't been finalized yet. Iran still has Iran still has like 4.5 hours to retaliate against Israel, and this is Iraq anyway. Israel's Channel 12 reports that Prime Minister Netanyahu instructed ministers at the end of a 4-hour cabinet meeting not to comment on the latest developments until further notice. Aren't you proud of our country? You live here, dude. And Iran was gearing up to build nukes, and their government hates America. What more do you need? No, I'm not proud of my country. Why would I be proud of my country? These past 12 days were not a moment of pride. It was a shameful experience. More than 600 Iranians, until this last batch of bombings took place, more than 600 Iranians were killed, thousands injured. On the Israel side, 25 plus Israelis were killed, hundreds injured. Some of them were, having panic attacks, which the Israeli government considers an injury. And none of that had to happen at all. Because what you think was Iran gearing up to build was just a lie that you decided to believe. They did not. If anything, they might now. They probably won't, because they are, like I said, restrained to a fault. But they weren't before. As a panic attack haver, do not be ableist. I'm sorry. You cannot consider casualties. You cannot add panic attacks into the number of casualties of, okay? Yeah, it's really up. When bombs are flying overhead, you're going to have a panic attack. Many people will. That's insane. That's an insane way to do stat padding. There's like children whose legs are chopped off or stuck under the rubble and will never be the same again. And you're adding someone having a panic attack into that number, because that's what a casualty is. Casualty numbers are like, people that have been severely, gravely injured. They didn't die, but they almost died. Are you saying that Iran had no intention of obtaining a nuclear bomb? Iran has imperialist agendas too. I don't care if Iran has imperialist agendas or not. There is no intelligence that shows that Iran was on the verge of making a nuclear weapon. There's none. It's just made up. And they didn't even do a good job making it up. So I don't understand where you're coming from. Like, this is what's so frustrating about this process, is that it's not like the American government even had like a Colin Powell moment. Like, they didn't even like go on the national stage with like a trustworthy individual and go to the UN and be like, we have serious information that they have nukes or anything like that. They just basically were like, yeah, believe them. That's it. That's it. Like, they didn't even try hard, and motherfuckers are still believing in it. That's what's so crazy about it. Marco Rubio literally on national television said, it doesn't matter if Iran is making nukes or not. No, it does matter. That's the most important part of this. Reports are now suggesting that surface-to-air missile launcher and radar were targeted and are now burning at Camp Taji on the north of the Iraqi capital of Baghdad. Is this the America-hating Twitch stream? No. This is the actual America-loving Twitch stream. I want America to do better. I want America to do better for you, dumb fuck. Like, I'm doing all right. If anything, I want America to do right by you. And it's so weird to me that motherfuckers that are having a tough go at it are just like sitting around posturing angrily and going, no, you don't understand. I don't deserve healthcare. I'm a cuck. I don't deserve healthcare. Every dollar should go to Israel. Like, what is this? Like, do you have no dignity? Do you have no interest? Do you have no self-preservation skills? I don't get it. Why are you yelling at me? It makes no sense. What is this? Iran's Ayatollah reportedly in a bunker refuses to surrender?
He is currently the head of the judiciary. He's been very aligned with the IRGC for a number of years, so he's very conservative.
What is happening on CNN?
Kind of viewed as the security candidate. He's 68 years old. And the third is Mohsen Iraqi. He's a former religious advisor to the Supreme Leader. He would be viewed as kind of a traditionalist candidate and really putting more emphasis on the religious legitimacy of the regime. I think it's important to appreciate that all of these gentlemen are about my age. They're in their 60s, upper 60s here, and they were all young men, 20, 21 years old, when the revolution took place back in 1979. So they've seen this through that lens for
what is going
the
on?
bulk of their adult lives, and I think are all very much committed to the same principles that the current Supreme Leader is.
A continuation, not a change. The Ayatollah's son was once top of the list, but according to the New York Times, no longer on it. What do you think of that?
Well, I think.
What do they know that we don't know? Is this are they just like wish casting? Like, what's happening?
Excluded him.
Is there a coup?
Because he didn't necessarily like the idea of family ruling here, so I think he kind of excluded him. You know, another candidate that was mentioned, of course, was Hasan Khomeini, who was the grandson of the founder of Ayatollah Khomeini, who was viewed as a reformist. He's much younger; he's 52. Khomeini's son is 55, so they are a little bit younger, but a little bit more of a reformist on the Khomeini there. But of course, he has the name and has that the respect and everything that goes along with that.
And all just so important, though, to consider that, you never know what happens till it happens. But that is a continuation and just a sense of how deep these layers are. And General Votel, I am grateful for your time and thank you. As our breaking news coverage continues from the banks of the Strait of Hormuz, here, a crucial waterway, nearly a quarter of the world's oil travels behind me. Iran threatening as part of its intensification to shut this down. Plus, new information just in on the high-stakes 18-hour U.S. mission to take out some of Iran's nuclear facilities. One complete with mid-air refuelings, a series of...
What? By the way, no other outlet is talking about this.
I know it's very late there. The last time we spoke, you were saying it would be very difficult to get reaction from Iranian officials at this hour. But has anything new emerged when it comes to this announcement by Donald Trump that a ceasefire had been reached between Iran and Israel?
Yes, a new emerging development on the ground here in Tehran is more of sounds of explosion that we can hear related to the interception of flying objects by the air defense system. Also, we sensed a relatively massive explosion here at the Bureau before we start this live coverage. A few minutes ago, we just sensed the impact of explosion. But still, speaking of your question, we haven't received any confirmation about any deal being reached between Iran and the United States about a possible ceasefire that we heard from the U.S. President Donald Trump. We have to keep waiting for confirmation of whether or not Iran is going to accept that. But still, the reality on the ground, as I told you earlier, was that we've received this strong messages by the Iranian military officials saying that as long as Israeli strikes continue, and right now what we see is the continuation of these strikes, Iran is not going to stop there. Iran is going to strike back to respond to actually Israeli strikes, and now we see this continuation. So with that said, we're not sure whether Iran is going to accept any deal for ceasefire regarding this latest developments that we can see. Also, I told you earlier, we've got this statement from the Supreme Leader of the country, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, a couple of days ago, who came out in a video message saying that we're not going to accept any imposed peace. And the question here is that whether Iran is going to interpret this proposal.
That we allocated nearly all the B-2 bombers in existence and used more than half of our GBU-57s to strike this sovereign country on behalf of the genocidal apartheid shows how far we've come in acting like their proxy. No, you don't understand. It was a big W because we don't even know if it actually successfully destroyed Fordow. Okay. We don't know if we don't even know if they actually successfully destroyed Fordow. And also on top of that, we know for a fact that we didn't get any of the fucking enriched uranium. And, you know, great stuff. Great stuff overall. It seems like crazy how much Hasan loves Iran. No, man. This isn't about, first of all, of course, I have no issue with Iran. What the is your issue? What has Iran done to you? I don't want the Iranian people to die. Do you? What's wrong? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your brain? I don't want anybody to die. Why are you seeing everything from this like incredibly narrow lens where you're like, nope, there's good and then there's bad. The Iranian government is evil. Fucker, we're evil. Does that mean we should get nuked? We're far more evil than the Iranian government is. What do you mean? The Iranian government is evil. Why? Because they are a repressive regime, right? They're a repressive regime. They hurt their own population. Okay, so do we. And we hurt a ton more people outside of our own population. Should we get nuked? I don't think so. I don't want to get nuked. Well, sometimes I do, because sometimes I'm like, God damn. What is this argument? Does the U.S. hang gay people? Sometimes. They have different methods of execution, not on the basis of being gay, but yeah, we still kill people all the time. What are you talking about? Oh, sorry, those people deserve it, right? Even if they're found innocent after the fact. Dumbass. We kill mentally ill people all the time. Our Supreme Court loves the facilitation of lethal execution for mentally ill people nonstop. It's like the favorite hobby of the Supreme Court. Time-honored tradition. I've been to jail during Maza administration protests, and I still don't want to be bombed. This will make the regime tighten grip. Any military action will make the life of Iranian civilians worse. Only a diplomatic and civil solution is viable. Iranian chatter and longtime HasanAbi head here. I want to live and watch HasanAbi broadcast administration protests, and I still don't want to be bombed. Exactly. But good luck explaining that to these dumb Americans that are baying for blood. They can't comprehend that. They can't be like, oh, but the Iranian people don't like their government, and their government is acting in a way that is not in accordance with the best interests of the citizens. Okay, let's bomb them. Is the most idiotic argument, but it's the only argument for Americans. They're so disgusting. Some Americans are, you know? It's ridiculous. If anything, civil struggle becomes impossible when the population is too worried about getting bombed by a foreign entity. A foreign entity that they've watched ethnically cleanse the entire population of Gaza. Like, what are we talking about? Can't wait to liberate the Iranian women from the treacherous grip of the Islamic Republic by assassinating them, by blowing up their homes, by killing their children. This is going to liberate them big time. I can't believe that we are living in the ashes of the failure that was the war on terror, and there are still Americans who eat this propaganda completely. They just go, no, that's the only way to do it. It's not just the Americans. The Pahlavis Iranian diaspora are also asking for the same thing. It doesn't matter. They serve no purpose other than chirp. It's idiotic. Okay, so do the Cubans that want Cuba to be bombed. So do Miami Cubans. They chirp up about how little we've bombed Cuba on a yearly basis. Does that mean we should bomb Cuba? No.
Day as well, there were Israeli officials saying that because of the pressure from President Trump, the Israelis were now trying to wrap all of this up by the end of the week. This is before the announcement from the American president. So it's still a little bit unclear where we stand now because there has been no word from Israeli officials.
All right, that's Al Jazeera's Hamda Sahoud joining us live from Amman in Jordan. Thanks so much, Hamda. Joining us live now from Washington, D.C. is national...
Lose it. Trump called his favorite Israeli agent, Barak Ravid. President Trump just told me in a phone call, this is the end of the war. This is a great and wonderful thing for Israel and the world. Someone should inform the Iranian citizens in Tehran that are currently experiencing explosions. Hey, guys, you've been liberated. We don't like the administration, but getting bombed from the genocidal regime, hell no. Good luck. Like I'm saying, there are a fuck ton of Iranians in here. I mean, obviously, I hear you. I'm trying to explain to Americans who will never listen that it is insane that this idea that like bombing Iran is going to allow the Iranians to feel liberty once again is the same exact dumb bullshit that we said in Iraq. It's the same thing that we said in Afghanistan, same thing we said in Iraq. It's the same thing Israel said in Gaza. It's so stupid, but it doesn't matter. It's a lie, but it doesn't even matter, okay? Because that's just a lie for like the dumbest people to repeat over and over again. I don't think anybody like serious believes that shit. I don't even think this is a fell for it again award, honestly. If you were willing to entertain this idea that the people feel safer when they're being bombed by a foreign entity, then you're the most easily tricked adult of all time. Didn't bomb civilians, strategical strike on nuclear facilities that intend to create overall hurt, multiple countries, USA being number one. No, it's not. That's not true. There's another lie that you just believed for no reason. That's the WMD lie. Just like Saddam had WMDs and he was willing to use it on America is the lie that the American government told to invade Iraq. That is also a lie. Okay? It was not a strategical strike on nuclear facilities. First of all, that in and of itself is already a war crime. I like that we have decided that nuclear power plants and nuclear facilities are just now open targets. What do you think would have happened if the United States actually successfully blew up a nuclear facility? Do you think the civilians would be happy with the radiation poisoning? And also, more than 600 Iranians were killed in the process. So clearly, it was the idea that they weren't targeting civilians is also bullshit. Do you remember when Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant was under bombardment in the Ukraine-Russian war and how the media was panicking rightfully, all while blaming Russia for playing with fire? Exactly. I do remember. So what was the point of the strike again? I'm confused. Okay, good. If you're asking this question with sincerity, then that's good. This is the first step towards having a healthy dose of skepticism towards this current administration, which you should apply to every administration regardless. Okay? Great. Iran did not have nukes. Our own intelligence showed that Iran did not have nukes and did not have the capacity to develop nukes. Okay? That's our own intelligence community's assessment. The only people that were saying Iran is about to get a nuke tomorrow, any day now, was Israel. They've been saying that. The same guy, Benjamin Netanyahu, has been saying that since 1992, for the record. And I think everyone knows at this point that when Israel is saying something, it's most likely a lie. Okay? So what was the point of this strike? The point of this strike was basically to entertain our most valuable ally, Israel's genocidal ambitions. That was the only point. Israel wanted regime change in Iran. They started this amidst a denuclearization negotiation that Iran was conducting with the United States of America. They started this under the cover, the protective cover of said denuclearization agreement. Okay? Israel did this specifically for regime change. The nukes, the fake nukes lie was the casus belli. It was bullshit. Nobody really believed it, but it didn't really matter ultimately. The entire point of the strike was so that we were playing ball with Israel. We were playing ball with Israel and showing them that we are willing and able to also strike Iran and maybe even go to war with Iran at the behest of Israel. Okay? But the Iranian retaliation was also significantly limited against the American bases. And in the aftermath of the Iranian retaliation and its limitations, the American government came back and apparently put together this ceasefire, told Israel to stand down, which they will in a couple hours, and told Iran to stand down, which I suspect they took gladly. So now that the ceasefire has been implemented, there was no real goal here. It was just complete idiocy, complete madness, and bloodshed for no reason. Welcome to the Trump administration. He does this all the time. I think we're far from done with Iran. I think the strike was testing the waters on a domestic acceptance. Israel will kill the ceasefire, something will trigger another start of the conflict. I agree. I don't think Israel is happy about this quote-unquote ceasefire. Reuters White House correspondent says, Trump brokered ceasefire in a call with Netanyahu Monday afternoon while VP Marco Rubio. Israel agreed. Wait, what? Israel agreed to it so long as Iran did not launch further attacks. Iran signaled to the U.S. that no more attacks would take place, the official said. So Iran is eating it. Israel's going to continue bombing Iran and Iran's just going to eat it? That is insane. If the Iranian leadership actually said yes to this, they might as well have signed off on their own death warrant. Gotcha. Well, it's always good to hear two sides of the story. Understand and could believe your point of view. I mean, my point of view isn't just like, my point of view is just describing the events that took place. Nothing I said is like even embellished a little bit. Yeah, we saw this image. Witnesses claimed that 3 projectiles struck a civilian building on Ferdowsi Street. According to initial reports, the target was an Iranian nuclear scientist. Israel just carried out another assassination attempt in Tehran. I think agreeing to this, agreeing to be bombed by Israel without any sort of retaliation in an effort to bring forward a ceasefire is the weakest moment of the Iranian regime. If Israeli strikes continue after 3:30 Tel Aviv time, Iran will consider the ceasefire as voided. Source France 24. Okay. Don't forget about the CNN Ayatollah bunker story. I think if it's true, it paints a picture of how such a deal could have been reached. It doesn't make sense because Trump's statement said when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. This is, again, a pretty weak response anyway from the Iranian side. When is 3:30 Tel Aviv time? Is it like half an hour from now? It's much later, no? Let me see. Yeah, half an hour from now, literally. In the next 30 minutes.
30 a.m. in Tehran. I'm Mohammed Jamjoom with extended coverage of the latest escalation in the Middle East. In the last 2 hours, President Donald Trump has announced what he says is a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. He's congratulated both countries for agreeing to a complete and total end to hostilities. He says the ceasefire will take effect in stages over 24 hours. Neither Israel nor Iran have confirmed that they have agreed to this. Here's what President Trump wrote. Congratulations, everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and...
Bro, the fact that Israel is not saying anything and has told, Benjamin Netanyahu has told his cabinet to not reveal any information on this potential ceasefire, and the fact that Israel is bombing Tehran with great intensity at the moment, I'm still confused as to whether or not this is like a real ceasefire or not. Regular flights from China have resumed to Tehran. They're landing in 40 minutes. Who do you trust for your sources? Like, people are saying random things. I'll know when I see it. I don't think it's fake, but we'll see.
End what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't. We'll be unpacking the latest development shortly with our correspondent.
Bro, there's something very strange happening. Why do you want the war to go on? I don't. There's something very strange happening in Iran. I don't know. I don't know what's actually happening. There's something very, very strange about this entire
regime
process.
Change might be possible in Iran. In the past few hours, he has these posts on Truth Social saying, God bless Iran. What else have you been hearing? And have any other concrete details emerged?
Well, Donald Trump just gave a phone interview, the first time he's spoken publicly since announcing what he says is a ceasefire deal. He spoke with NBC News saying that it was a wonderful day for the world. And then when asked just how long he believes the ceasefire will be, Trump answered that he thinks the ceasefire is unlimited, that it's going to go forever. certainly a very jubilant tone to not only what he said in this interview, but also the post, which you just read, that he announced on Truth Social about 2 hours ago. And we're also getting some more reporting from Reuters and from other sources that it wasn't just Trump who...
This is OSINT Defender. I mean, they're unreliable. I'm starting to think that Khamenei is either dead or there has been some kind of coup with the Iranian armed forces, because that is the only way these statements are being made by Trump, Vance, and other officials within the last hour make any sense. Yeah, there's something very, I think there's something very strange happening in Iran, and I don't know what it is, because this ceasefire doesn't make any sense, because Israel's aims have not been met here at all. So either Trump put the halt on Israel, or something else is happening behind the scenes that we will find out soon. But Benjamin Netanyahu's marked silence on this, the continued heavy bombing campaign in Tehran, Israel's preparing for the possibility that Iran will fire heavy missile barrages before the ceasefire goes into effect, per Channel 12's Yaron Avraham. Israel prepares for the possibility of a relatively heavy barrages in the final hours before a ceasefire. I mean, that's what I suspected as well, but it's weird that they're being like oddly quiet. Shaku? No shot. Could you go over what's strange about this? I mean, everything is strange about this. Trump comes out and says there's a ceasefire. Iranian officials first say there is no ceasefire. Then the ceasefire is only confirmed through Qatar. They say this was a high-level ceasefire that was conducted. The ceasefire also has like weird provisions in it. Like Israel can still undisturbed bomb Tehran over and over again with no retaliation from Iran whatsoever. Trump says the ceasefire will be permanent, which is also incredibly suspicious. No statements from any high-ranking officials on the no statements from any high-ranking officials from like the Ayatollah or any of the usual parties that would seemingly talk in this process. I don't know.
Perhaps it would have been prior to this ceasefire announcement, but I will tell you that across the board in these few hours since he made this announcement, there has been a lot of praise for Trump. We heard from the U.S. House Speaker.
An American military base had an explosion on their radar site in Baghdad.
Trump deserves all the credit that this is what, quote, peace through strength looks like, and that it's really a big sigh of relief on Capitol Hill. We've seen Republicans who were all just about to submit a resolution that was, in a sense, chastising Trump for going forward with those military strikes on Iran without consulting Congress first. Now the sponsor of that saying that he was going to withdraw it, now that if there is a ceasefire, that the point would be moot. And we're seeing, Trump's MAGA followers also praising this action.
Yeah. Trump's MAGA followers are stupid. Who cares? Baghdad Operations Commander Lieutenant General Walid al-Tamimi has now confirmed that an unknown drone targeted an air defense and radar site at Camp Taji to the north of the capital earlier, resulting in significant damage to the site, but no casualties among forces. That's weird too. From the outset, Israel's aims were unmistakable. Torpedo. I think this was a tremendous defeat for Israel, regardless of the fact that they were able to assassinate unconfirmed reports of explosions at Camp Victory at Baghdad International Airport. Hundreds of leaders, yes. By Iranian estimations, you were saying an hour ago that this was a big L for Iran. It is. It is still a ginormous L for Iran. It is just simply also a ginormous L for Israel. Iran did not achieve a significant victory here because it did not actually establish deterrence. It was not able to defend its military commanders. It was not able to defend its boundaries, its borders. Iran got attacked by the United States of America and Israel. I think anyone that says this was a giant victory for Iran is coping, because they don't realize that like Israel was able to maintain air superiority over Iranian airspace for extended periods of time, and if you think that they're not going to do this one more time once they re-up and rearm on their anti-air defenses, you're silly. The only major setback for Israel here is that they weren't able to get it done this time. What if Iran's lying crazy mode and at 3:31 they just randomly launch a nuke? That's not going to happen. If I were to measure the successes of Iran, I would say this much. Restrained or not, it doesn't matter. They were able to successfully continue a war of attrition with ballistic missiles alone, and were able to wither away and deplete and exhaust the limited resources of Israel's air defenses. Tel Aviv and the rest of Israel proper is no longer seen as this island that is an impenetrable fortress. Israel's public will always now potential repercussions. They will know that if Israel decides to behave in the ways that it has, at least against Iran, that there are still severe penalties. Israel only gets to behave in the violent ways that it does because it has created this assurance for its population that we do as much violence as possible, but you don't experience it. You can do, like, you know, gay liberal laptop work or whatever, and drink kombuchas and matcha in the morning while there is a unlimited genocide happening like 50 miles away. You get to do that. You know, you get to live like a Western style life in the middle of this region because you're defended by unlimited amounts of air defense support from the United States of America. Yes, exactly like America. Exactly like America. The only difference is America is all the way over here and Israel is in the ass cheeks of a bunch of countries that have long-range ballistic missiles that can clearly penetrate the Iron Dome and the Aero Defense System and the David Sling and the THAAD and the cruisers that are like literally planted next door to Israel so that they can constantly try to intercept these missiles that are coming in Israel's direction. You can't be doing, you know, gay laptop work while you're doing a genocide. It just can't happen. It can't happen in perpetuity. I do think this. Yes, I agree with this. Very possible that Israel wants a ceasefire because it's running low on interceptors. Reports days ago suggested they were running low and that system is already overwhelmed. Strikes have clearly been getting through. Might be a temporary ploy to restock and resume the war. That's what I think as well. The internet says otherwise? What do you mean? What is the internet saying? There's 14 minutes remaining. 14 minutes remaining until the ceasefire deadline is passed. Iran has already stated that they are going to strike or the ceasefire is void if they go beyond the point, and Israel hasn't stopped striking. Apparently, heavy airstrikes are continuing against Western Tehran still. Now, the other side of this, of course, is that Iran has no launches that have taken place so far. Iran has not launched any counterstrikes in retaliation, even though they signaled that they would. That's also interesting. I don't know what they're planning. I also don't know what's going on in Iraq. Apparently, there's explosions happening in Iraq. There are initial reports of casualties at the Baghdad International Airport that was struck. Explosions reported near Baghdad International Airport and the Balad Air Base. Initial reports of casualties at Baghdad International. The source of the fire is currently unknown. The idea of a buzzer beater ceasefire missiles is crazy. It's not unique. Israel always does that. What's unique is Israel is doing this to a country that has the capability of striking back for once. When Israel did this to Lebanon, Lebanon had no capacity to penetrate the Iron Dome as successfully as Iran had. Yeah. Trump announced it too early. 1, there is a ceasefire. 2, Trump was supposed to announce it later and surprise with an early announcement. 3, Israel received guarantees that Iran would not return to developing nuclear weapons. Here's the thing. Israel has a million different things that they can claim to restart this bombing campaign. Okay? There's a million different things that they can do. They can say, we have good authority. We figured out where the enriched uranium is hiding. Or they can still say, we have to take out their ballistic missile launchers. Or they could just go for the big prize and claim that, you know, we got to take out the Ayatollah. So the only reason why this is currently happening is because Israel, I think, doesn't have the capability of withstanding further missiles being lobbed in its direction from Iran. So now you're pissed we have peace? No, I'm pissed because I foresee this peace not being real peace. Is that really hard to comprehend? I want it to be real peace. Hold on. I mean, practically peace is great. Yeah, I agree. Open Flight Radar 2 planes are landing in Iran from China. Yeah, I don't know what that means. What? Brother, what are the chances Iran will attack American bases in Germany? I live here, so I'm asking. I'm really scared. What do you think, brother? Aslan. Korkma sen, tamam mı? Korkma kardeş. Sana bir şey olmaz. Bir baklava yersin geçer, tamam mı? There was a rumor based on the number of large military cargo planes to Iran. Bir baklava yeriz geçer kardeş. Bebek gibisin orada sen Almanya'da, boş ver. Tucker Carlson says, thank God. Wuhan judicial coup swan. Thank God I was wrong. Fixed it. Thank Trump, you mean. Can't wait to see the podcast of you apologizing. Can Tucker and Trump be friends again? Whoever said about the planes flying into Iran, those are Iranian passenger planes returning home. I don't know anything about the planes. I don't look at flight radar. What? Probability of Russia and China to give Iran a nuke to establish true deterrence? Very, very low. Following Iran's retaliatory strikes on the U.S. Air Force Base in Doha, Trump called the Emir of Qatar and told him he could get Israel to agree to a ceasefire and asked for his help getting Iran to commit to a deal. The Prime Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, then coordinated with Vice President J.D. Vance on the U.S. proposed ceasefire, and the Prime Minister spoke with the Iranians to seal the deal, the source said. Israel agreed to the ceasefire deal on the condition that Iran stop attacking their country, a senior White House official told CNN. Iran agreed to those terms, the source said. During the negotiations, Trump directly communicated with Netanyahu. Dude, I'm almost certain this is the Israeli air defenses. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to be real with you all. I am also here now. Yeah, this is before we even factor in the lack of response or the confusing responses that we have heard from the Iranian side. Yeah, another Iranian nuclear scientist was reportedly eliminated tonight in Tehran by a precision strike from the Israeli Air Force. Yeah, 7 more minutes. 7 more minutes. Once Israeli interceptors are stockpiled again, it will continue. That's what I think too. We already covered this morning. Yeah, Iranian Parliament Committee approves general plan to suspend cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. I think Iran plans to launch a barrage last minute and want time announcements with the barrage. Want the time announcements with the barrage? No. I think Iran is currently under heavy bombardment, so it's making it probably very difficult to launch any sort of barrage. They would have done that already. There's 7 minutes left. Iran's Noor News reports that tonight's explosion in Tehran and Karaj were the largest seen in the past 12 days. Did you see this unhinged post by Trump this morning about the nukes? Oh, about Russia? Yeah, he threatened Russia a little bit too. 5 minutes remaining. Tehran Times? I don't know what Tehran Times is. Straight truth. Tehran Times, straight truth. Why is everyone saying Israel can restock interceptors but failing to acknowledge that Iran can also get to rebuild a lot more ballistic missiles? Because Israel is a belligerent nation, and also they probably did strike a bunch of ballistic missile factories. Tehran Times is a state-owned newspaper. Is the English language newspaper of the Iranian government. It's owned by Mayor. Okay. I think there is instability. Okay. Judging by what the state media is saying, there might be some weird fissures in the Iranian government right now. Maybe power struggle between the IRGC and the Ayatollah. I don't know. We have no way of knowing. We shall see what happens. 4 minutes remaining until the ceasefire is established. 4 minutes. The same senior diplomatic source that confirmed that to France 24 that if Israel continues after that the ceasefire was implemented is also the person that said if Israeli strikes continue after 3:30 Tel Aviv time, Iran will consider the ceasefire as voided. 3 minutes remaining until ceasefire. Israel's also, of course, pummeling Gaza. Can you just bring the Ayatollah on stream and ask him what's up? Yeah. Do we have live cams in Tehran or no? And before Israel launched the missile just before the deadline, but it lands perfectly after the deadline, but they still say it counts? Two minutes. No internet in Iran still? We have. I'm watching with you. One minute. The Israeli Air Force is continuing to carry out strikes across Tehran and western Iran. I mean, I don't know. What? Okay, stop. All right, it's time. Let's see what this means. Iranian Fars News reports that informed sources denied Trump's ceasefire claim. Speaking of Fars News, the source stated that the ceasefire proposal announced by U.S. President Donald Trump is completely false and was intended to distract from the recent humiliation the United States suffered. Oh yeah, they were so humiliated. The source added that Iran has not received any official or unofficial. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Who are they talking to, bro? Who are they talking to? I don't understand. Yeah, first real response to the ceasefire rumors within the Iranian media. An informed source tells IRGC Associated Fars News that ceasefire news is completely false. No proposal has been seen, and that Iran will demonstrate the falsehood of said plan in the coming hours. This is some real ominous shit, dude. What are they? Yeah, did the American government get catfished or something? Did someone go? Someone intercepted the talks and was like, "I am Persian, Mr. President Trump. President Trump, I want a ceasefire. We want the Shah to run Iran. Mr. President, I am eating kubide in Tehran. I will wear bikini, Mr. President." Like, what happened? I am Ayatollah Khamenei, Mr. President. Israel agreed to ceasefire on the condition that Iran stops the strikes, White House official says less than 1 minute ago. Israel agreed to the ceasefire deal while they're still bombing past the point of the ceasefire. This edging is making me feel a certain way. Like, was there a coup or something? Like, what's happening? During the negotiations, U.S. President Donald Trump communicated directly, blah, blah, blah. We already covered this. There's nothing new. The outlets like Al Jazeera that are far more reliable, despite the fact that it was supposedly conducted by the Emir of Qatar, have been saying, we don't know if there's a real ceasefire or not. And now the most reliable news so far coming from Fars, the ceasefire proposal put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump is completely false. No official or unofficial ceasefire proposal has been received from Iran. I don't get it. I wonder if there is like a power struggle between the IRGC and the Ayatollah. I don't know. I have no idea. And the military is still saying like no ceasefire is taking place. Israel says yes now. Israel's giving confirmation to CNN that they have agreed to the ceasefire while they're still bombing. Homefront Command states that defense policies remain unchanged. No educational activities, no gatherings, only essential businesses may operate. The public is urged to continue following official instructions. Okay, so Israel itself doesn't think that there is a ceasefire happening either. Israeli Army radio citing sources, there's a possibility of rocket barrages being launched towards Israel. Iran just struck Iraq? What? No, you don't know if this is Iran that did this. What are you talking about? I thought there was like time to test your theory. I know shit's happening in Iraq as well. We don't know why it's happening. I feel like they just did this bullshit to be like, see, Iran is not to be trusted. They said that they wanted to implement a ceasefire, but they're not abiding by the ceasefire. We just got to pack it up. In response to this media fabrication, the Islamic Republic of Iran will soon demonstrate on the ground and in the field the falsehoods of this claim to the Zionist regime. Yeah, I think they're just like, they're going to claim that Iran is actually not abiding by the ceasefire that they never saw. But it happened so fast. I don't think people are going to fucking think that this was like, I don't think people are going to believe that Iran actually violated Trump's big, beautiful ceasefire. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, the cult will, but they're fucking stupid. And that's not enough, especially because there's no appetite. There's no appetite for fucking going to war with Iran. The Iranian who negotiated a ceasefire. Mr. President. Who the fuck did they talk to? No, what makes this weirder is Qatar, okay? Like that gives it a point of legitimacy, a point of authority. When the emir is saying that they facilitated a ceasefire with Iran, that gives it a point of fucking legitimacy. Because, like, yeah, I can see the Americans lying, but I'd be shocked if the fucking the emir of Qatar is lying at the behest of America. Sure, they are still obviously pro-America. They have a massive American military base. U.S. Central Command is there. But even then, it's just like, that makes no sense. That also violates the sole purpose of Qatar being a mediator in these negotiations. They wouldn't just like do some fuck shit here so that America could go and do a psyop like this. No, it's not Muslim on Muslim betrayal. There are two places where these actual negotiations take place: Qatar and Oman. Okay, neither of these countries would place themselves in the crosshairs like this. Partially because they also have a financial investment in the stability of the region and have proximity to Iran, that are in the crosshairs. But also Qatar is supposed to be like the middleman for these kinds of negotiations to take place.
Under Zeffirello, who was a CIA agent, they took the engineers and scientists
it's literally, if not by